title is the Lemurian-Atlantean-Indus Valley Hebraic Origins of the Hebrew Israelite Sovereign Nation, showing the connection of pre-Diluvian civilizations to post-Diluvian, which is today. So we're going to continue where we left off at. Again, I was showing how the earth was one. And I was showing how Elohim, us, we were going through stages in development in our emanation, starting 320 million BCE, when we was in an etheric state, more of an etheric state, and then we started to solidify, and we became more of a watery element, and then you talking 60 million BCE, now we solidified in the body, but we're not really a fully solid material. We was more of a gigantic, tall, bony structure. You know what I'm saying? And now we're solidifying more. The separation of the sexes took place 18.5 million. That's where we was at. We showed here not 18, not 19, but 1884 CE, the Theosophical Society created what we see here, or reconstructed this root races and sub-races. Now, we explained 1 and 2. There's no need to bring them up because there's no bodily material of them, because of the watery element we originally developed from, and before that, the etheric element. So now, we see here the Lemurian, which is the so-called Negro, splitting off during the 7th sub-root race into the Ramallah. The Ramallah is what created these sub-races. The terms Lemurian-Atlantean-Aryan only defines epics. That's it, not races. This is pre-Diluvian civilization. The understanding descendants of Noah, the table of nations, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, our ancestors. We have to understand where they actually came from. We have to understand it by the way of the archaic Hebrew symbols. So the Ramallah split off, and within the split developed the original Shemites. That was the 5th sub-root race of the Atlantean epic. They broke off because a lot of the sorcery that was taking place with the Dark Emperor versus the White Emperor. Now, these terms dark and white don't define colors, but it's talking about consciousness that's permeating from these men. You understand what I'm saying? And these dark arts became what we know today as witchcraft and, you know, bestiality, homosexuality, child molestation, etc., etc. Let's continue on. The original Shemites, they break off and create the Aryan root epic. This is why when you look at Hinduism and Egyptian culture, you can see the similarity. Then it talks about the Aryan Shemites. These are those now that started to become more, they started to hybrid even more. Remember I said all the nations of the earth today are a hybrid. Okay. But you have some that are hybrided by non-hominoid species as well as other hominoid species, okay, or humanoid species, because scientists today, and I'm going to show and prove that scientists today are confirming the fact that there are different hominoid species. So if that's the case, how can you argue you're out of Africa theory if you're saying that everybody came from one human race, but now starting from one man, one woman, but it's showing that there were different creations of hominoid species and non-hominoid species that our ancestors was having sex with, and this is why they're finding what you call the Australopithecus, 3.1 million BCE. They're finding Homo erectus, 2.0 million BCE, 1.7 million BCE. They're finding the Neanderthalian, 800,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago, breaking into the Cro-Magnon in the European. We're going to show that this was a part of devolution, not evolution. We're going to see that the so-called ape is a devolution of man, not an evolution that born man. It's the opposite. See, they want us to believe that man came from apes. But in fact, apes are a devolution of man. And I'm going to show this. I'm going to show this today. Watch. Because all this is within the PowerPoint. This is why the Most High didn't want us to mix with other people. There are nations on this planet that they don't descend from our forefather Noah. They were already here. Let me show you. So now, that's the break. So now, let's get to the point. So like I said, this book right here, The Earth and its Cycles, correct? Okay. Let me see that real fast, and I'm going to get right back to you. This right here, you're not going to be able to get it, by E.W. Preston. Excellent. These people was, these are the ones that got all the records and the artifacts in the archive. You got to go, see, you got to really study occultic literature. Because not to deal with the ritual. No. You got to go to certain literature because in that literature, it's showing you the sources from which this information comes from. That's why a lot of them in these Masonic circles and all, they know what I'm saying is true. Watch. Watch this. Okay. Cool. Okay. So now, let's get it. Now, read that, the chronology of Lemuria real quick. Watch this.
It was after the coming of the Lords of the Flame about 6.5 million years ago that the 5th, 6th, and 7th sub-races of the Lemurian race were developed.
So we just showed right here that the Romalas, look, they were the 7th. The Romalas were the 7th from the Lemurians. They were the 7th sub-race of the 3rd root race, the Lemurians. They broke off and created the Romalas. So they broke off 6.5 million years ago. Okay. But 5 million years ago, the Romalas is what's going to develop the Atlantean Empire. You're going to see it. Now go back to, now read that statement that you just said. Now watch. As she's reading that, you're going to see it outlined. Go ahead, start it from the top. Watch.
It was after the coming of the Lords of the Flame about 6.5 million years ago.
Stop. 6.5 million years ago, right here. Keep going.
That the 5th, 6th, and 7th sub-races of the Lemurian race.
Stop. The 5th and 6th of the Lemurian. That's the 5th. The Negroes, the Nicolagolos. All of them, right? Okay. And the 7th, the 5th, 6th, and 7th. They didn't say that.
Okay. Yes, it did.
Right. Okay, keep going.
Lemurian race were developed.
They were developed.
Eventually, it was from the 7th sub-race.
Stop. The 7th, right? It was from the 7th sub-race. You see this, right? Keep going.
That the material for the first sub-race of the Atlanteans was selected.
Bang, the Romalas, right there. They broke off and created the Atlantean epic. We talking, this is from different scholars that understand this type of thought. That's saying the same thing. Watch. Keep going.
It is reasonable to suppose that the development of the 3 later sub-races of the 3rd race took a long time and that they lived on the then Lemurian continent. About 5 million years ago would seem to be the earliest date for the destruction of this continent.
Stop. 5 million years ago, the destruction of this continent, Lemuria. Put that down and read now. Now this is a whole, let them see this. Now this is a whole nother different book by W. Scott Elliott, Legends of Atlantis and Lost Lemuria. Look at the date that this was written. These people knew who we were, man. This was written in 1896. 1896. So that means they knew. They knew. So now, start from there. Like where you was reading. Watch this.
Now, the period represented by map number 1 shows the land surface of the earth as it existed about 1 million years ago.
Keep going.
But the Ramallah race came into existence between 4 and 5 million years ago.
Stop! This is what they said. You know that the 5th, 6th, and 7th subgroup races of the Lemurian epic developed 6.5 million BCE, or 6.5 million years ago, and it took 1.5 million for them to develop the 7th into a separate, the Romalas, that created what we know as the Atlantean epic, which was 5 million years ago. Read.
At which period large portions of the great southern continent of Lemuria still existed, while the continent of Atlantis had not assumed the proportions it ultimately attained.
Come on.
It was upon a spur of this Lemurian land that the Ramallah race was born.
Come on.
Roughly, it may be located at latitude 7 north and longitude 5 west, which a reference to any modern atlas will show to lie on the Ashanti coast of today.
So it's saying that Atlantis started in what we know today as Ghana, West Africa, and it stretched to South America, and the capital later became known as City of the Golden Gates. That's when you have the Lavakis, the Lavakis, that they break off, and that's how that developed. That's another topic. Read on. Watch this.
It was a hot, moist country where huge antediluvian animals lived in reedy swamps and dank forests.
Come on.
The Ramallas were a dark race.
Oh, they were a dark race. Read.
Their complexion being a sort of mahogany black.
Stop. Say that again. Their complexion what?
Their complexion being a sort of mahogany black.
Stop. So we just read the 5th, 6th, and 7th subgroup races of the Lemurian. They got there. Now, I didn't write this down. These are Euro Gentiles that wrote this 1894. That's what they saying. So they talking about the Negroes from the 5th, 6th, and 7th subroot race of the Lemurian epic. The 7th broke off the Romalas that they're describing, these are different scholars, as mahogany black, that branched off, created the Atlantean Empire in Ghana, West Africa, that stretched to South America, and they developed the original Shemite, which branches and creates the Aryan or the noble epic that we are in today. So right now, humanity as a whole, okay, are what we consider the Aryan epic. They are part of the Aryan age. All right, now watch this. Here we go. It's going to get deeper. So, 5 million years ago, keep going. Go back to that book, the other book. Okay. Yup. Where the chronology of Lemuria. Wait, you say about 5 million years ago, which seemed to be the earliest date for the destruction.
Map 2 gives the world at a period in which Lemuria is partially destroyed.
Where you at?
Let's see.
No, you should be where the chronology of Lemuria. It was after the coming of the Lord of the Flames, the beginning part of that.
Oh.
Okay, but you want to drop where it says it's reasonable.
It is reasonable to suppose that the development of the 3 later sub-races of the 3rd race took a long time.
See, we just read. We just read them. Read.
And that they lived on the thin Lemurian continent.
The then Lemurian continent.
About 5 million years ago.
There go that date again. I thought, you know, Sanaga, all y'all polite, much respect to y'all, but y'all say I was just throwing out numbers. This is what I told you. Read.
About 5 million years ago would seem to be the earliest date for the destruction of this continent.
Keep going.
This agrees with Madame Blavatsky's statement that the 3rd Earth went down into the lower deep, the ocean, 4¼ million years ago.
Right, because Lemuria got destroyed by volcanic eruption.
But that was when Atlantis fell.
No.
Is that what it's saying?
Atlantis fell later. remember, it's the Lemurians from the 7th subroot race of the Lemurians. They're going to break off and become the Romulus and develop the Atlantean.
Okay. So this is just the
And Noah and them come from out of the Atlantean, which they family born with others before them born, which you know as the Aryan epic.
Gotcha. Okay.
You see?
Yes.
Now you talking post, anything after Noah is post-Diluvian. So when they talk about Kemet, Babylon, Sumer, they're not old civilizations compared to what I'm talking about. I'm going back before all that. I'm going to the beginning of our cosmic origins 311 trillion, 40 billion years ago.
Okay.
This ain't something I'm just making up. This is something that can be proven. Like, not something I'm just coming up with. Continue to read. Watch.
Thus, the period about 5 million years ago may be the date of the beginning of the formation of the Atlantean race. Got it.
Bang. And when they say the Atlantean race, they only mean that era. Not race in the sense of this is a race. Continue on.
Map 2 gives the world at a period in which Lemuria is partially destroyed. That is why it is placed between 10 and 4 million years ago.
Now you got to understand, at this time, Gorbansi, which later became known as Africa, okay, Gorbansi was underwater. It was underwater. So Africa didn't even exist. Like how we define Africa today, man. Look. The white part defines water. The brown is land. So if you look right here, look at all Africa at this time. It was underwater. It wasn't even Africa. It was something else. Okay. That's the point that I'm trying to point out. You so caught up in being from a continent, not understanding nations come and develop by hybrid. That this is the truth. If you look at how Israel came about, it was a combination of nations that came together, and then they branched off and they adapt to whatever environment they was in, and they was that nation of people. So really, nations develop through thought. We all got a common goal. But as time go on, y'all isolated and y'all amongst yourselves, then y'all building. So not only are y'all bringing forth life, children, whatever, but y'all bringing forth an idea that develops the seed. And this thought continues on. Now that thought develops distinction. This is why you got different nations with different phenol structures. All this came about through a thought process. And from there the thought materializing, mixing with other hominoid species, developing certain characters. Watch this. Continue on. Read. Watch this. It's going to get deep.
This period of time is now considered to be in the Pleistocene period of the Tertiary era.
Right.
Not the secondary, as said by Madame Blavatsky, using the name of those days.
Okay. Right. Okay. Let me see. Keep reading.
The continent of Lemuria perished by volcanic action.
Okay.
That such intense periods of volcanic action are likely to have
occurred
and borne out by modern geological theory. Recent research shows that owing to the decomposition of the stores of radium in the earth, a molten area is periodically formed at a certain distance below the surface. This causes volcanic eruptions on a vast scale, automatically followed by cooling. The volcanic activity which destroyed Lemuria may correspond to one of the minor cycles referred to by the Schubert and Holmes. This catalysm may be among the reasons which account for the absence of fossil or other records of this very early civilization.
Boom. So let's look at a few of the fossils real quick of the Lemurians real fast so y'all can see. So if you look here, let's go real quick to Unveiling Genesis, Mystery of the Root Races and Cycles by Philip Lindsay. So if y'all look here, you can see right here Easter Island and give you a better, let's look here. This is better. Now, okay, so now when you look, you have these images or these statues around Easter Island. Well, they're 27, in height, feet in height, 18 shoulder length, inches shoulder length. Now, peep the twist and the mystery of this. The statues aren't made from out of stone. They're made from out of hardened volcano lava. They were carved out from volcano lava, as you can clearly see, right? But, and you can like, however you want to do it, can you see it, whatever, so that people can see. But the thing that I'm asking is, how are these statues there and they're made out of volcano lava, but there's no volcano in Easter Island? So now my question is, how did they get there? How did they get there? Well, easy. When Lemuria was being destroyed, because remember, we are not who we say we are today. We were more gigantic in nature. So that being the case, we were able to carry these images to our next location. And we sat them there and we brought them with us from ancient Lemuria. That's how that happened. Now, watch this. Watch this. So, now, I want you to go real quick to the third root race, the early Pescaline period. This is from the Zoazoic era of the fourth round of the earth. Now, people, let me see. Let me see this real. Yeah. Okay. But, yeah, you don't have to read this right now. Okay. You ain't got to read that right now. We're going to come back to that because there's more to it with that. Now, in my book, 311 trillion 40 billion BCE to now, this is what I say Africa and Lemuria. It is a fact that the continent of Lemuria is in fact older than Africa by millions of years. That's my challenge. See, this is my challenge. Africa is only the end result of this epic. Other epics, the earth, the geological earth and the spheres of it and everything about it was different in each epic. So the continents you see today may not have existed in another epic previous. You see what I'm saying? So it's a whole nother different thought. Watch. The original black Lemurians were a race of giants. Now y'all gotta hear what I'm saying. The original black Lemurians were a race of giants that inhabited the continent of Lemuria, now the South Pacific and Indian Oceans. Why you think when you study the South Pacific native tribes and you study their information, they're telling you that they were always there. But there's a reason why that they're saying this. Now you got the Aboriginal movement, all these different movements saying, yeah, we were always here. We were always here. And they're going into South Pacific Islander records, Native American records, different things like that. But not understanding when they saying they always been there, they're going back to an ancient past when the South Pacific was a part of the Lemurian Empire. It was a part of the Lemurian civilization and epic. Because remember, Eden itself is the whole planet. Lemuria was in Eden. That's why I'm saying that Lemuria is where creation was being brought forth, and man was placed in the garden. That's why the further south you go into Africa, the older the bones that they find it, because southern Africa, the tip of it was a part of the Lemurian Empire. Because South Africa, Madagascar, Sumatra here, the map right here, so the people can see. You can see, here goes South Africa right here, Madagascar. This is the continent of Lemuria right here. You got Australia right there connected. And then India. India being the capital. That's why, if you notice, even in the book of Esther, it talks about Xerxes ruling from India to Kush or Ethiopia with 127 provinces. Why? Because all power, all knowledge, all wisdom, all the ancient, most oldest records come from out of the Indus Valley, not Egypt. Not Egypt. It's the Indus Valley where all the oldest records come out of. Because the Indus Valley, for the original Hebrews of the Harappan or the Harappan civilization and dynasty, was India. And then later it shifted to what we call today Jerusalem, Israel. Watch. I'm going to show you. Let's see. Let me see. So now I keep going. Now, as you can clearly see, Lemuria is in the center. Then you got Australia. That's connected. Then you got India. And then you got Madagascar right there. And then you got Africa. But originally, all this was underwater. All right? So now, there it is right there. So you see the white part. That's water. Just like I said, you see the southern tip of Africa right there, right? You see it right there. So now, make sure I'm one. All right. So the Indian Oceans, this black race of giants is considered to be the ancestral progenitors to the people who later occupied the continent of Africa, which was later repopulated by the children of Ham. I just said that. You see that? By the children of Ham. Watch. Which was originally underwater, while Lemuria was a living continent. It says, in parts of Australia, areas of some of the earliest. No earliest or oldest does not mean original. Human remains have been found, because some of the oldest, matter of fact, let me get that. Hold on. Let me get that. Oh.
This is really good.
Mm-hmm. This is good, right?
A lot of stuff
Now,
is starting to make sense.
here it is right here. This is the theosophical view of human races. See how I keep using different sources, man? I'm using different sources. Now, I told y'all that there were bones. Remember Polite? I told you that there were bones 14 million years ago, older than the bones they found in Africa, the Lucy bones. Okay. I'm stopping like that on purpose. All right, so let's see if I was lying. Let's see if I was lying. Okay. It's right here, highlighted. And you know, it gives you the sources and everything, and then you can show sis that, and we're gonna show y'all.
So this is it right here, highlighted.
Yup, that's it right there, highlighted, right there. All right. We getting it. Come on, read that.
In recent years, scientific opinion has greatly expanded the time span during which life has existed on our globe.
Stop. So now scientists have recently expanded their understanding of the lifespan of human existence on this planet. We just read that. Correct?
Yeah.
Correct. All right. Continue on.
There is now evidence of life for approximately 3.5 billion years, leaving very little time between the development of suitable conditions for its existence on the Earth's surface and the origin of life itself.
So that debunks evolution from the rip. They ripping they self apart. Because they trying to say it took man 7 million years just to build a spear. Come on, man would have been died off. Read.
This picture corresponds broadly to the theosophical view, although evolutionary theory is in a state of flux at the present time.
Right.
For example, Mary Leakey's argument that the fossil remains she discovered near Andalusia, George, in Tanzania are part of our genes, Homo, competes with the claim of Johnson and White that these represent a different hominoid species. It may be some time before the age of true man can be determined, but the date of his origin is being steadily pushed further back into the distant past. Thus, the first identifiable antecedent of man, Ramapithecus,
listen,
who appears to have been part of the common ancestry of ape and human, is known.
The common ancestor of ape and human. Hear this, babe. The common ancestor of ape and human. We're talking about that. Scientists are now admitting that there are other hominoid species besides our hominoid species. And that they were mixing. And I'm going to show y'all this, right? And this is why you see Neanderthalian bones with RH monkey DNA, right? And they also talk about the ghost gene of the Yoruba and the San and the Twa, or the so-called pygmy, right? All right, read. Watch this. The missing link is them subspecies that the hominoids were mixing with. Ooh, that turned around and developed the hybrid, which you have now, your Neanderthalians, your apes, your chimps. Oh, yeah, let's get it. Watch this. Come on.
Thus, the first identifiable antecedent of man, Ramapithecus, who appears to have been part of the common ancestry of ape and human, is known from Asian fossil remains, which date back to approximately 14 million years.
They said that so Asia got the oldest bones right now, not Africa. What you talking about? You stand so if you predicating the out of Africa theory about the oldest bones, well, that's outdated because they found older bones in Asia now. So, where your legs standing on, you have, I severed both of your legs. You have nothing to stand on. It makes no sense. If the oldest bones are now in Asia, talk about your out of Africa theory. I thought everything started from Africa because they got the oldest bones, the oldest remains, correct? But now we see right here, and we do got the sources. We giving you the sources. Matter of fact, look that up right now, that name of that ramp, type that up, look that up on your Google. We're going to see if it's fake or not. We're going to see if it's fake or not. This is what I'm saying about there's no need to even argue with people dealing with Kemetic philosophy. There's no need to argue with them. Why? Because they don't even know what they're talking about. There are older bones from other continents than in Africa. But see, they fail to understand is that when them bones was living, what they know as African and Asian, none of that existed. Them bones were a part of the Lemurian epic. This is the era I'm going back to and leading up. You see what I'm saying? To now. Okay. And the reason why they look cute, you found it? Mm-hmm. Read it. Why?
Ramapithecus, an extinct group of primates that lived...
Stop! An extinct group of primates. Stop right there for a second. Because you're coming right back to that. And I know it's, I'm jumping back and forth, but I'm not. I want you to stop. Yup. Look. Look at this. Hold on. Come on. Come on. Let's get it. All right. We got right here. Because it's going like, because it just said they're a group of extinct hominoid species. Right? And didn't it say that they were the ancestors between the ape and man? Correct?
Okay.
All right. Different races from separate species. Come on, man. I'm not making this up. All right. DNA now indicates that humanity is a hybrid species. DNA, man. We talking DNA facts. We not playing these games. We're not going to continue to teach these lies. That's why they always want to make rumors about. I don't even answer to rumors, man. You know what I mean, babe? You know how many rumors they have said about us? No, they really said what they said because they trying to stop what I'm bringing forth, which is true. Watch. In 2011, DNA from 3 African groups, the Baka, the Pygmies, which is the Twa, like I said, the Sun, and the Mendinka, were tested and shown to come from a non-extinct species that broke away from the modern human lineage over 700,000 years ago. Now they talking about when the breaking off of sub-races of the Aryan epic, which in turn you're going to see by the way of what they consider the Grimaldi man, when you start reading the dude Sheikh Antediluvian's book, Civilization of Barbarianism. He talked about the Grimaldi getting caught up in the word glacial period, the Ice Age, and getting trapped, not understanding that these epics came about because you had dimensional consciousness manipulating certain matter and making themselves present. And they was mixing and they was developing other subspecies. I'm proving that we were mixing. Look, in 2012, another study tested 3 sub-Saharan African populations: the Pygmy, the Hadza, and the Sandawi. And it was again found that the ancestor of modern Africans bred with different species of hominoids, not found in the DNA of non-Africans. Come on, man. Species with amnesia or forgotten history by Robert Shapiro. What are you talking about? This is why I don't even listen to these guys, man. I don't, man. Look, come on. This is right here, the Neanderthalians. Bone mystery, that ancient humans had sex with other species, the Neanderthalians. And they talking about, look, the knowledge of our human origins have taken a huge leap forward after anthropologists decoded the DNA of a bone as old as 400,000 years old, revealing that our ancestry may have had sex with more species of early humans than previously thought. They letting us know that there were other species that they were mixing with. And I'm going to show you in the archaic records in the Sin and the Mindless, it's going to talk about how the Lemurians and the Atlanteans were mixing their seed with she creatures that don't exist, and they born what we know as the hybrids, these Australopithecus, these Neanderthalians, these different like beast men like tribes, man. This is a fact. This ain't nothing I'm making up. This is what they're saying now. And it's all aligning with the dates and time. So now, this is right here a formula. 94% of whites test positive for the RH blood type, which means that they have Ramses monkey blood, RH monkey D. This is a freaking fact, man. But how do they have that? They have it because they was mixing. There were quote unquote black people mixing with she creatures from other subspecies of hominoids and non-hominoids, and was born in this. born in these type of images. Look. Modern humans once mated with other species. Come on, that's why when they be finding them skeleton heads and all that, of them bones, why you think the heads be all big and different and all that? Why? Because it's a different species. It's a different species. Y'all with me? Anybody got anything to say while I take my medicine real quick?
Nope, you're good.
Nobody got nothing to say?
I'm just learning. It's putting a lot in perspective now.
All right, I ain't even get to know it yet. All right, hold on. So modern humans once mated with other species. Genetic studies reveal some modern humans carry DNA from extinct hominoid species, evidence of ancient inbreeding. Come on, this come from, excuse me, Smithsonian.com. This from the Smithsonian Institute. Come on. What they talking about? You can't say, this is, ain't this your consensus? Your academia, bourgeois, right?
Bourgeois.
Right. Humanity has a filthy secret. Yeah, they sure do. Right? Our ancestors, you know what I mean? It says our ancestors used to have sex with members of other species. Oh. Now you want to know why, you know what I mean, the Most High told us don't mix with other nations. Why? Because some of them other nations have DNA of other species, which in turn form the hybrid.
Oh, they wanted to zoom in on the picture.
Zoom in on that joint.
Yeah.
Zoom in on that joint. I give you the word. I give you the smoke. I give you the smoke. This is smoke. Boom. Go over. Go up so they can see that we're telling the truth. Bang. Smithsonian.com. You see that, right? Modern humans once mated with other species. Right?
She says is that picture of another species.
Cain.
That's not
It's a picture. It's a picture of what became from these Lemurians mixing, as well as Atlanteans mixing with other subspecies. Watch, let's go deep. All right, what it say? Look, it said that they mix with other species. Let's get here. Boom. Now, like I said, man. All right, they're taking pictures, not pictures. Excuse me. They're making like clay images from the bones that they found. And this is what they come up with. Okay? People of non-African descent possess DNA inherited from other hominoid species, such as Neanderthalians not found in Africa. You know what that's saying? The reason why I'm saying they're not finding that RH monkey DNA is because they're a whole nother different species. If that's the case, then how can you say out of Africa? Come on.
Okay.
They will have evidences of Neanderthalian or what we know as Neanderthalian amongst these people, but they don't. That's my point. What I'm saying, and you're going to see why, and you're going to see where the ghost gene was developed, and you're going to see where the RH monkey DNA was developed. The ghost DNA was developed because we're going to read about the sin of the mindless. We're about to get into that, about the sin of the mindless. And it stands in the Zion records that the Lemurians from the third sub-root race of the third root race of the Lemurians started to mix with she creatures from other species. And that became the ghost gene that they find in certain African tribes in Africa. This is where you get your Australians and all them from that still exist today. They're not descendants of Noah. They're not descendants of Noah. When you look at the Tasmanian devils, that's what they was calling the Tasmanians. They was out there living in Australia. They was dark, but they was real hairy and all. These were certain species that lived that was mixing with our homo's gene, and mixing with other species that don't even have nothing to do with the hominoid species or some type of sub-hominoid species. This is real rap, man. It says, such as Neanderthalians not found in Africans, now DNA testing from the African genome shows a previous unknown archaic species found only in people of African descent. That's the ghost gene. That's the ghost gene. That's when the sin of the mindless came about, and they was mixing with she creatures from other subspecies and other species and other hominoid species and born it out, which you know as Australopithecus, Homo erectus, Neanderthalians, Java man, Cro-Magnon, all these different bones that these is a product of mixing with other species that wasn't from your hominoid family. Period. This is real easy. That's why the laws were already in play. Like the reason why these laws came about, because people were already doing it. Okay. Oh, you make it up. Oh. Ancient humans had sex with a mysterious species. Scientists discuss. Come on, man. I ain't making this up. This is for real. I ain't making it up. I ain't making it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to tell you how these things came about. How to read the Genesis correctly. So we're going to come back to that portion, but I'm getting back because we still there. As a matter of fact, since I am here, let's go real quick here to the sin of the mindless. Yup. Here. Or you got that book. Let me see that right there. We right back here. Now remember, we just read about that certain unknown species, right? That you know was amongst them African tribes, or that's in the certain African tribes today, right? Okay. All right. Let's fire it down. Start right here. Okay. Read that out loud. Come on.
Sins of the mindless.
The sin of the mindless. Now watch this. Read.
The shameful acts of the mindless men at the first separation of the sexes have best be...
Stop. The first separation of the sexes was 18.5 million BCE. This is when you get Zakar wa Nikiva, male and female, the separation in Bereshit, Genesis 2:7. Read.
The first separation of the sexes had best be referred to in the words of the stanzas of the archaic book of... I don't know how to spell it. Zion. Okay. No commentary is needed.
Come on.
During the third race, the boneless animals...
See, during the third race, because remember, the boneless, because during the third race, that's the Lemurian epic. That at one time you had animals on this planet that were boneless, but they were still developing, but it was a process of time. They weren't fully solidified. Come on, watch this. The boneless animals.
The boneless animals grew and changed.
And they changed, see?
They became animals with bones.
Animals with bones,
Their kayas became solid.
Their bodies became solid,
The animals separated first.
The animals separated first. The other species, all of them, come on.
They began to breed.
They began to breed,
The twofold man separated also.
The twofold man, meaning Ha'adam, because he had what? The male and feminine polarity. Right? Come on. Read.
He said, let us as they, let us unite and make creatures.
Let us what?
Let us as they, let us unite and make creatures.
Come on.
They did.
They did.
And those that had no spark took...
Those that had no spark, meaning that they weren't consciously aware. They was dealing with instinctive will. Read.
Took huge she animals.
They took what?
Huge she animals.
Did we not just look up all that scientific evidence and that them scientists are saying that humanity has a filthy secret that they've been mixing with subspecies, right? Read. This is in the archaic records.
Took huge she animals unto them.
Right.
They begat upon them dumb races.
Dumb races,
Dumb they were themselves, but their tongues untied.
Come on.
The tongues of their progeny remained still.
Watch this,
Monsters they bred.
Monsters they bred,
A race of crooked red hair covered monsters.
Red hair covered monsters,
Going on all fours.
Hold on, what?
All fours.
So are we talking evolution or devolution? Because from what it's saying as if they are product of a hybrid, a devolution, a man mixing with sheep creatures born in them. We just read it. What you talking about? We just read it. You know what I mean? And it's lining scientifically. The Hebrew archaic records. But you gotta really hear it. What's funny, right, is that the Hebrew records is confirming the scientific evidence of hybrid, showing the actual story what happened through the archaic symbols and verifying it scientifically. That's what I just did. I just easily did that. Did I not? Okay? Did I not?
You did.
So,
Yeah.
watch this. Okay, keep going.
A dumb race to keep the shame untold. And an ancient commentary adds, when the third separated and fell into sin by breeding men animals.
See? They bred men animals. They was breeding all them hybrids. All them bones that they... Come on, man. This is really, really easy now, man. That all nations on the planet is hybrid. Some are more hybrid than others. Some of them are hybrid with species that don't even exist on this planet no more. You got some hybrid from species from other dimensional realities that mix, you know what I mean, with, you know what I mean, beings on this planet. All kinds of stuff. That's why they got that new DNA called X. They got this joint called X, where people got DNA, they don't even know where it came from or nothing. Yeah, just like that. Read.
These, the animals, became ferocious, and men and they mutually destructive.
Right.
Till then, there was no sin, no life taken.
Right.
Seeing which the Laz, who had not built men, wept, saying, the Amanasa, mindless, have defiled our future abodes.
Right.
This is karma. Let us dwell in the others. Let us teach them better, lest worse should happen. They did. Then all men became...
So what they doing is, in this thought, in this Brahmanistic thought that our forefather Abraham came from Aga, they had the mind state that man knows, or these spiritual guides, or what they know as the ascended masters. They were incarnate to start a new so-called race to do things better. That's why I acknowledge there are a multiplicity of creations of men on the earth and not just one creation of man. That's the difference. Because in their mind, people think it was just this one creation, boom. No, that's why you got different species. that they were able to mix with, but them species died out because there were different emanations or different creations on this earth.
Emma Taylor said, how did they come into this knowledge dating back millions of years ago?
I mean, you saying how did they? I mean, they came, the knowledge, it came with them. They were that. Like, we under the impression like you had to grow and develop to build. I'm saying if you know the ores of the earth, then you know how to build. But the difference was they was using so much of their brain power. There were certain things that weren't needed. So as they didn't evolve, but they were adapted. So whatever they didn't need, they didn't use. Whatever they needed, they used. And if they didn't have, they developed it. That's something that is within the psyche to do. This is what the universal mind do. This is what Yahweh does. It, as Yahweh expands, the understanding expands. The knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding expands. Continue on, watch. Because,
Then all men became endowed with manas. They saw the sin of the mindless.
Right. Keep going. The origin of the what?
The origin of the pethicoid and the anthropoid apes.
So now watch this. We read about the ghost species, right? The ghost gene, I mean. And then we read about the RH monkey DNA gene, right? Okay, read. Watch this.
The anatomical resemblance between man and the higher ape, so frequently cited by Darwinists and pointing to some ancestors common to both, presents an interesting problem, the proper solution of which is to be sought for in the esoteric explanation of the explanation of the genesis of pethicoid stocks.
Now, watch this. Come on.
Now, we gather from the secret doctrine.
Now, one might say, damn, you always talk about the secret doctrine, such and such. Well, let me show y'all something. I'm going to show y'all that the stanza of the Zion are actual world records. You know what I mean? And the secret doctrine is only a commentary. Okay? It's only a commentary of the stanza of the Zion records. So let me go ahead and get that real quick so y'all can see how it look. Okay? Because I made the snapshot copy. There you go, right there. So, here we go right here. So this is the stanza language of the original stanzas of the Zion. Notice it's Zion. D-Z-Y-A-N. When you saying Zion, you know you're saying Zion. You're saying Zion. That's how you say Zion in ancient Sanskrit. To show, like these concepts existed, the Hebraic concepts in the Hebraic dynasty existed before we was even in Israel. We brought it with us from the Indus Valley. Here it is right here so y'all can see the actual, come on, it's only a few copies left. That's the stanza of the Zion right there. So it's not, you can't say it's, and this is in the Tibetan, amongst the Tibetan monks. This is amongst the Tibetan monks, which they got the oldest one right there. The most oldest one. They say this goes back roughly over 13,000 years ago.
Damn.
So what are you talking about, man? Now, also let me show you something else. Show you something else. Oh yeah, we're gonna get there. Because that's very important. But In Search of the Creator of Civilization. Now this is a book that just came out. But what I want to point out is something about that word Aaron, because remember, we looked up the word Aaron, and it was saying that it meant noble one. Y'all remember that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get this Aryan myth theory out the way. See, one thing about me, I'm going to do my research. I'm not going to come on nothing, and I don't know what I'm talking about. So, this man, Max Mueller, 1823 to 1900 was one of the, I think, matter of fact, I can't see that. So I got the book, and that's the beautiful thing. I got the book, So I'm just going to get the book. There it is right here. So y'all can see I got the book. Yup, I got the book.
What page
That's on page 43. So I'm gonna read this real fast. Here we go, right here. So I'm right there. All right. So look, he was one of the principal architects of the now refuted Aryan invasion race theory. So the scholars, they refuted that, but you got the Afrocentric world still talking about when the Aryans invaded India. When in fact Aryan only means noble, so your first Aryans were quote unquote black. You see, watch this. In the next chapter, we will revisit one of the greatest follies of Indiology, the Aryan invasion theory, by which Max Muller and many other Eurocentric scholars sought, and to some extent still seek to justify their recent dating of the Rod Veda. So these Indian scholars that wrote this book is challenging the Western world, saying, what are you talking about? Look, it gets deep. Look, areas of Mongolia and Tibet, German racist anthropologists describe the typical Aryan, and this in this book, Aryan as blonde and blue-eyed with a robust physique. The Nordic type found in the Scandinavian countries rather than in Bavaria, where Nazism originated. This racist notion of Aryan represents a complete perversion of the original meaning of this word. That's what they said. So I didn't say that. Yo, they said that. Wake up, family. They said that. Right? So now, we was at that sin of the minors. Go back to that sin of the minors. Because that right there is very important to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. And I'm not just making it up. These are the ones that found evolution for you. These are the ones, come on, man. You know, come on, Francis Galton, he was the cousin of Charles Darwin. Come on. Look, Francis Galton, Charles Darwin's cousin, was influenced by Darwin and the French physicist Paul Broca. Himself, another evolutionist, Galton put forth the theory of eugenics, which suggested that some races were superior to others, and that the strong should be kept uncontaminated by the weak. That's why all those that deal with plants, what's going on, y'all? We doing class, what's the problem? We got Planned Parenthood. That all started by the way of eugenics. Okay? Alright? So now, everybody always say, before I continue, you quote Madam H.P. Blavatsky, this, that, the third. Well, let me show you where she got her information. She's not the first one. Y'all thought she was the first one? Alright. This man right here, Pascal Beverly Randolph. This so-called black man right here, he was the first one to give up theosophical information before Madame Blavatsky. And Madame Blavatsky learned a lot from him. He also wrote this book right here, which I got my eShop bought for me. Pre-Adamic Man, demonstrating the existence of the human race upon this earth 100,000 years ago. And he wrote this back in the 1800s. Right? You see that? And I'm going to tell y'all something. You think I'm lying? I'm flying. Remember, go study this man right here. Go look him up. And if you look at any Marvel comics, Y'all with me?
Okay.
Marvel, guess who they made him for the superhero? Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange from Marvel Comics was actually a copycat from that actual real man that was dealing in these type of occult arts that they got from this guy right here. He was the best friend of Abraham Lincoln. Okay? And he was the father of the Rosicrucians. He's the one that created the Ross. When I say the father, meaning he created the Rosicrucian United States chapter. And he was a so-called black man. Like little gremlins up in there. Every
time the door
You
opens.
go to different camps, they do that, they have the other
Sound like a
rules.
cat and dog fight. Like,
You see,
When the
I
door
ain't
opened, I
said,
seen him rolling on the
I ain't
floor.
said not a word. I ain't said not a word. So watch this. Sin of the mindless. Go ahead back.
Now we gather from the secret doctrine that the descendants of these semi-human monsters described above as originating in the sin of the mindless, having through long centuries dwindled in size and become more densely physical, culminating in a race of apes at the time of Miocene period,
You see that?
from which in their turn are descended the pithecoids of today.
Now the sin of the mindless is what developed the pithecoid today. The pithecoid apes. Watch this. That's the ghost. That's the ghost gene from them African tribes they talk about. Now watch the next part. Read. Watch.
With these apes of the Miocene period, however, the Atlanteans of that age renewed the sin of the mindless.
They renewed the sin of the mindless, meaning now the Atlanteans, now they doing it now. Now they now having sex with these species, these she creatures. Read,
This time with full responsibility and the resultant
So they
of their
knew
crime.
what they was doing. They knew. They was like, all right, they did it, even though they dumb. Because they was going by instinctive will because they was still developing. But them, they knew this was wrong. And what happened?
This time with full responsibility and the resultants of their crime are the species of apes now known as anthropoids.
Stop. Anthropoids, right? So now you got the gorilla and the chimp. Now, y'all might be like, might be bugging. All right. So if you look at Orientals and you see their chinky eyes, and then you look at the area they at, and then look at the chimps and the apes, why they look similar? And then if you go to Africa, and then you look at the apes and all that, and the tribes around them, why they look similar? Why? Why is that? Why? Because they was mixing with their genes, mixing their genes with species that don't exist today, that had them phenolux. What you talking about? Come on, man. Come on. That's why they finding these bones. You come past, baby. Oh, okay. Yeah. So they had man. Come on, man. All right.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Sure, you can.
So is this the reason why they say that from the Atlantean time to now there was a huge jump in technology because it went from smart to dumb and then now we're back to smart?
Okay, I mean that definitely has some truth to it. I must agree to that because I can prove that the Atlanteans was definitely dealing with like rocket fire, rocket power. They was dealing with, they was already flying and doing different things. They were doing these things. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I'm lying, I'm flying. Walking on all fours. Look, right? This was on 60 Minutes, man. You type it up right now. Walking on all fours, 60 Minute special. Type it up on YouTube. Come on, man. They found the tribe that exists near the Caucasus Mountains still walking on all fours. What you talking about? They're not descendants of Noah. They're descendants of another hominoid species. That's what I'm saying, man. They run around talking about, oh, everybody Noah's children and we all family. No, we not.
So
We
that
not
tribe
all
still exists?
family, huh?
That tribe still exists as walking on all fours?
Yeah. You got it? You found it?
I found the video, yeah.
Let me see.
Oh.
Let me see. That's it right there. That's it right there. That's it up. And she's showing it live too. And then bring, that's the, look. keep it showing. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Look, they got a whole tribe of them. They like, whoa, look, come on. What you talking about?
Let me see your phone.
Yeah,
And they're
that over.
clothed and like everything.
Look at that. Boom. What you talking?
This is crazy.
Oh. He made
They're really
that
walking
up.
on.
You've been so used to hearing, oh, we originated from apes. No, we originated from actual people, and then the
Right.
stupid ones turned into the apes.
Right.
Like, y'all decided to go
Right.
out.
I'm going to show y'all, son. I'm going to show y'all. And then I'm going to close out and make a part 2. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm sure on fire with this. Like I'm on another level, man. I'm not even on the level with these people, man. That's talking crazy. Now, we just seen it, right? They walk around all four. Who made that up? They're not descendants of Noah. They have a gene in them going back to a certain humanoid species or a hominoid species that don't even exist. That was monkey-like, man. Come on, man. I got, and look, and look. Right here. Unveiling Genesis, mystery of the root races, right? I'm going to show y'all something. Boom. You better get this book if you ain't got it. Boom. Come on. Bang. What you talking? You talk, you say you got that smoke. You better have that smoke. You better have that smoke. You better have that smoke. Real talk. Now, I'm going to show you something. Watch this. Now, this is a whole nother different, this is a whole nother different source. So this is not just me making this up. Hold on, let me get this real quick. Hold up. So what you think, sister-in-law, so far about all this?
It's really good to understand it more.
Okay.
Because history books don't tell you all of this part.
No, they ain't gonna tell you.
They make it seem like, the earlier version of us, the Atlantean part and above, was a whole different generation.
Right, and they try to make it
And
seem
then
like the
the
Atlanteans were
evolution
white
started
people.
from the monkey
Right.
and forward, and we were monkeys. Like, nah. Everyone at one point had a stupid race because everyone was monkey see, monkey do, as they said.
They was mixing their seed with
Mama
hominoid
tried it
species,
anyways, is how it
and
was.
they started to born these type creatures. Matter of fact, who got my phone? Oh, man, look, I can use my phone. Shoot. Because I got the record right here. But this is where it comes from. So here, I'm going to use my phone that start here. Not the center of mindless. But we still here. So I can go right to my gallery and look at the pictures real quick. Yup, got it. So now, right there. All right. So now, yet the Lemurians, right here. Yet the Lemurians and the Atlanteans were indeed, matter of fact, You can read it. And just slide because you can see it.
Okay.
Just slide. Boom. Go ahead.
Yet the Lemurians and the Atlanteans were indeed marked with a character of sorcery.
They were marked in, because remember when I broke down the development of sorcery. That's why I say y'all always talk about somebody a witch. She wicked. Y'all don't even have the mind state of what y'all dealing with. Because y'all don't know the origin of where it started. Let me some of the drink, baby. Right? Continue on, Bix. Go
For
ahead.
the esoteric doctrine charges them precisely with that. It accuses them of having committed the abominable crime of breeding with so-called humans.
So-called
So-called animals.
Say that part one more time.
It accuses them of having committed the abominable crime of breeding with so-called animals.
Stop. But isn't this what scientists are saying today? Why is the archaic symbols or records showing this art? We already knew that. Read on. Go down, read on.
When the sense of wisdom came to incarnate the first time, some of them incarcerate fully, others projected into forms only a spark, while some of the shadows were left over from being filled and perfected.
See?
To the fourth race.
Right? So some that was incarnating, they didn't have a full spark, so they were more monstrous, more monstrous. You know what I mean? But they was able to still mix gene or mix seed with other species. Right. Next one. Go ahead. You got this image right here?
I do, but it's not everyone.
Huh? It's not what?
I can't read that.
Oh, well. Oh, there you go. I got you. Boom.
And you want me to start at hints?
Yep. It's going to get dark as you go down.
Yeah. Hence, there was really no sin committed. The refusal of a certain group of monads to incarnate because the bodies of humanity were too coarse.
They were still coarse.
Meant that these humans remained mindless. Therefore, when sexual separation occurred, they possessed no mental discrimination and bred like animals.
See? They bred like animals. They didn't have the Yah mind. They was just dealing with what I said earlier. Instinctive will. Did not say that. They was just doing them. Right?
Yeah.
And then the spirit of Yah, come on, man. And blowing the breath. And he became a living soul, right? Right? No, he was conscious of Yah's sense, Yah's intellect. I'm saying that one time, beings were walking the planet instinctively, just walking without the spark. And then the spark was blown. And then the breath of life was blown. The breath of lives. The breath is talking about sense. It's talking about a type of a mode of thinking. Intelligence. Why? Because these beings from which we come from, Israel. That's why you're going to see the original Shemite break off. We the Elohim or the Elohim. That is the vibrational energy that we developed out of. That's what I'm going to show. I'm going to show that there are other powers that exist on this plane they're not us.
Close the door.
And to prove it, I got it. Close the door. Close the door. Okay? And to prove it, even in the book of Daniel, when you see the quote-unquote archangel, I think Michael fighting, but one of them, and he said he was going to go help Gabriel fight the angel of Persia, right? Okay. So that means that other nations, they have their own vibrational beings that's on this plane. This is a whole other different thought. This is a whole nother different thought. Okay.
Now I understand like why I call it karma. It was their punishment for treating me how they did.
Okay. Let me see. Let me see something real fast. I want to see this person real quick. Yeah, because you see,
I already responded.
are you there?
Yeah. I inboxed him.
Did you respond?
No.
Oh.
He keeps saying, see, that's not you.
Oh, yeah. Because you see my name, Nasi.
Yeah.
But I'm not Nasi, right? I understand. I seen, that's what I'm saying. All right, so now, it's all good. So going back, yeah, here we go. Boom, that's where we was at. Correct?
Okay.
And we still, you can hear me?
Yep.
Cool, good. So now, I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
Okay. Therefore, when sexual separation occurred, they possessed no mental discrimination and bred like animals.
They bred like animals. That was the sin of the mindless. We didn't have we was just walking around. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
The karma lays with those sons of wisdom or monads. The sons of wisdom, the sons of night, ready for rebirth, came down. Let me see.
Right. Watch this. Watch this.
Which direction am I supposed to go?
Are you right? Oh, you right. You right there. That's where you at?
Yeah, I finished it.
You finished all that? Oh, so the next one. Oh, I'm sorry. That way. So if you want to blow it up and see it, you can see it.
This part?
Yeah, read it. Yeah, you continue
Okay.
where you left off. Because you just read, they saw the intellectually,
Oh, the sons of wisdom, the son of night,
right.
ready for rebirth, came down. They saw the vile forms of the first third.
Right.
I can't.
We what? Where you at? Let me see.
We were chosen, said the Lord. We have wisdom.
Okay.
Some entered the Chayas.
Right.
Hold on.
Right.
Sorry.
Some projected.
Some entered the Chayas. Some
right.
projected
The animals.
of sparks. Some deferred till the fourth.
To the meaning, to the fourth being the Atlantean.
From their own essence, they filled the karma. Those who received but a spark remained destitute of knowledge. The spark burnt low. The third remained mindless. Their jivas were not ready. These were set apart among the seven. They became the narrow-headed. The third were ready. In these shall we dwell, said the lords of the flame and of the dark wisdom.
Come on.
However, much later during the Atlantean period, there was a group of humanity who had developed minds, yet still bred with animals.
See, meaning them species. There we read. I'm not. Am I making this?
No, I'm reading it right here.
Nafika, am I making this up? No. Y'all make this up, Amma?
No, I'm reading it.
Shinobi.
No.
I ain't make this up. I ain't make this up at all. This is, am I not showing different primary sources? I ain't scientists, but we're about to work. I'm about to really, after this, and then that last portion, we out. Come on.
We have given it as far as we was useful by starting has the bestiality of the primeval mindless race resulted in the production of huge man-like monsters, the offspring of human and animal parents.
Stop. I told y'all, man. I told y'all. Stop running around. Stop running around here, right? Keep going. Watch this. Keep going. Watch this.
Sorry.
Watch this. Keep going.
However, much later, just like that, sorry. We have given it far useful by saying the offspring of human and animal parents. As time rolled on and the still semi-astral forms consolidated into physical, the descendant of these creatures were modified by external consciousness until the breed, dwindling in size, cultivated in the lower eighth of the Miocene period. With these later
The Miocene period.
Miocene period. With these, the later Atlanteans reserved the sin of the mindless, this time with the full responsibility.
See, now they know. We just read that, didn't we, in another source? Read.
With the resolution of their crimes were the species of apes now known in anthropoid.
As right. And here you go right here. And you go to the next page so you can see. Right.
It's small, but it's it.
Oh, wow.
And watch this.
Oh, this is crazy.
See? Look. The Atlanteans renewed the sin of the mindless. That was them. They're showing you what they born through the sin of the mindless. Huh?
Wow.
What you talking? Boom. We giving, matter of fact, Lemurian man, come on, man. It's showing you the Lemurian bestiality. That's how they born all these primates. And,
That's something so close to our DNA.
that's what I try to tell y'all. I try to tell y'all. The so-called Euro Gentile is a hybrid through this. Every people on this planet is hybrid. Everyone, man. Look, it go deep. Look. Boom. Look, y'all can see it yourself. It's right there. Bang. Yeah. I got y'all.
There's 133 species.
But no, hold on. But what I want to get to, I want you to read right here. Hold on. Right here.
Okay.
Yeah, start right there. Careful. Come on. Come on.
A careful perusal of the commentaries would make one think that the being that the new incarnate bred with was called an animal, not because he was no human being, but rather because he was so dissimilar physically and mentally to the more perfect races, which had developed physiologically at an earlier period.
I'm gonna show you why in Hinduism and Brahmanism they adore the monkey. And then you remember the movie Planet of the Apes. See, like, y'all not really digging what's going down. Watch this. Read on. Watch this.
Adam and Eve were supposed, with Cain and Abel, to be the only human family on earth. Yet we see Cain going to the land of Nod and taking there a wife.
Right? He took a wife. Why? He took another wife from a whole nother species. That's what he did. That wasn't that line. That's why he said that Cain knew his wife, because it was already hominoid species and non-hominoid species already there. She's talking about. Read. Let's go.
For surely it was not in or through the wickedness of the mighty men that God saw that the wickedness of man was great, but in the progeny of the giants who produced monstrous quarantine de... Oh, that's in French. So, produced monsters, from hence sprang the lower races of men, now represented on earth by a few miserable dying out tribes and the huge anthropoid apes.
Right. That's why you got... Listen, that's why there's certain aboriginal tribes that exist that's dying off. You know how you go into like the Amazon rainforest, and they got like Aboriginal tribes still out there with no clothes, and they got things in their mouth and all. We talking the Amazons, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody saying they're not a part of that. They're not a part of the descendants of Noah. They go back to certain ancient Atlanteans and ancient Lemurians whose development was arrested from mixing with other subspecies, and they still out there. That's why they dying off, because, man.
Okay, so
This is
I just want to re-say it so that way I know that I'm getting it right. So you're
What I'm
saying that
saying
these
is-
tribes that they're finding are the dumb race from the descendants of mixing with human and animals that they're still finding that are evolving on their own,
Right.
and coming forward, but are
Right.
being found.
Right, but they still dying off because, and the reason why they dying off, because they're so ancient, and the genes that they have in them, they're not in other genes, so they just die
They're
off.
becoming that dying race.
They die off. Just like the races that we know today, within the next 25 to 30,000 years, they're not going to exist on this planet as we see today, man.
Yep.
Right.
The state of Washington alone, you can see it even in Washington. They call them out here the indigo children out here. That's how it is. Like, you're not going to see you. That's what I'm saying. What they was calling the black man, that's not the real black. You don't even want to see the real black man. The real black man that originally was on this planet don't even look like us. They don't even look like us, man. This is what I'm saying. Watch this. Keep reading. You on that same page. Watch this.
One theosophical scholar makes the following observation. The most human of these apes died out, partly because the Atlanteans, realizing the sin of their own less evolved men, made vigorous war upon them, wars of extermination.
Stop. There's war. When you go into the Puranas, the Veda, Sanskrit, the Lamas, right? You go to all these.
Denise said that she wanted to get pizza.
Hold on.
Tanish.
Shamaya. Hold on for a minute, because I'm live. Go.
Okay.
So, and it's a lot of people watching this joint. It's a lot of people on your show?
It was up to 15 views. Now it's 2.
Okay, because here is a lot on this one. Okay, so let me get back to this because you gotta, oh man. So, what you think so far, babe? Huh? My baby like, all right. So, continue on. Watch.
Okay. And also because the milieu, the surroundings, were not conducive to the continuance of this partly human, partly animal race. Only the last progressed of the apes were allowed to live by the Atlanteans.
Read on.
And the apes today are the descendants of those who were allowed to continue to live.
Read.
In the epic Hindu poem, the Ramayana, the apes are depicted as far more human-like than they are today.
Right.
They even talk and have their own governments and laws.
Right.
Led by Hanuman, the monkey god, they fight on the side of Rama against the Rakshasas of Lanka in the great epic war of India.
Right.
Viewed and theosophically, the depiction of the apes in the Hindu legend is not entirely fictional. Vadahas of Sri Lanka, along with the African Bushman,
The Bushman,
the Australian Aborigines, and the Papuans,
the Australian Aborigines,
and the Papuans are said to be the last remnants of the 7th subrace of Lemuria 3.7.
So they saying that they the last remnant of the 7th sub-root race of the 3rd root race, the Lemurians, which were the Romalis. Remember, they broke off and they created the Atlantean Empire. They're saying that these African Bushmen, these people of India, the Vazdas, you know, the Australian Aborigines, etc., they're the last remnant left. That's why they're dying off. Because they've been here for so many millions and millions and millions of years. So they're not even descendants of Noah. They're not even descendants of Noah. Okay? Read on. Of existence. But don't you see it in the movie Planet of the Apes? Mm-hmm. Y'all see that, right? Oh, okay. Last but not least. And then we end it. And then we have a part 2 next week. Because there's so much to this. There's so much to this. Let me get to where I need to get to. Okay, it's here. Right. All right. So we back in, let me see, yeah, right here. We back here in the earth and its cycles. I want you, well, you want to read, babe? No reading, babe? I want you to start. Okay. Man and the apes. And then we.
Okay.
So we back here at the earth and its cycles. So we in the chapter Man and the Apes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Until the present century, modern man was considered to be derived from primitive Neanderthal man and primitive Neanderthal man from the anthropoid apes.
So they had an idea that there was a connection. That there was a connection between these humanoid bones they were finding, or hominoid bones they was finding, and these other subspecies bones in the ape, but they really didn't really understand the missing link because they didn't have understanding of archaic records. Read on, watch.
Such a simple relationship is now questioned, for so far the links in the chain have not been discovered. The evidence appears to indicate that the anthropoids are not the direct ancestors of Neanderthal man, but that they diverged from the family tree at some still earlier period.
See?
Writing on Man in the Making, Senior J. Arthur Thompson states, the scientific conclusion clearly indicated is that men in the making split off very long ago in the Miocene period.
That's what we just read about the Miocene period. It's the same time. Come on. How is this all adding up the same? From what you will call the ancient archaic Hebrew symbols to any occultic records or any records dealing with any type of Eastern thought, whatever. They all line it. Watch this. Come on.
From a stock common to them and the large apes of today, no one believes that tentative men sprang from any existing apes or monkeys. Professor Lee Gross Clark of Oxford argues that the human stem might already have become segregated at a much earlier stage in evolution than is generally supposed. Recent discovery has established that the modern apes were fully differentiated by the beginning of the Miocene period. Senior Robert Broom, in Finding the Missing Link in 1950, gives as his opinion, our present evidence, the conclusion seems to be that the human line across about 25 to 30 million years ago from a primitive anthropoid.
Stop this. The human line arose about 25 to 30 million years ago from a primitive anthropoid. So they're trying to say that the humans been on this planet for 30 million years. So, and I teach that the humans started to develop 36 million BCE more, and then they became fully human by 18.5 million with the separation of sexes. Now, they talking about an anthropoid or an ape. No, watch this. Continue on.
Professor Wood Jones in Hallmarks of Mankind, 1948, writes, we must avoid the snare of regarding the more primitive apes as being on the road towards becoming men, since all evidence would seem to show that they were merely apes that fell short in some respects of attaining all the specializations of their modern representatives. It is true that they have probably arisen nearer to that early parting of the ways in the primate stem at which the human stock branched off. But they are definitely apes on the branch that leads to the modern anthropoids and not on that which leads to Homo.
Right.
It has
Homo sapien.
It has recently become possible to construct a family tree and to place it approximately in time. Sir Arthur Keith says, all are agreed that anthropoid and man have a common ancestry. It is merely the degree of relationship that is in dispute. The whole subject has been dealt with by Sir Arthur Keith in Man's Family Tree and in The Search for Man's Ancestors by Sir Elliot Smith. Some details are also given in a monograph on the races of man by R.B. Bean. For later opinions and researches, see Finding the Missing Link by Robert Broom in 1950 and Hallmarks of Mankind by Frank Wood Jones in 1948. Figure 4 is based on diagrams by Keith, Gregory, and Elliot Smith. In regard to these diagrams, Sir Arthur Keith says, Dr. W.K. Gregory made a family tree of man and ape. It was constructed quite independently, being based on an altogether different mass of data from mine. He also brought the human stem from the anthropoid at the beginning of the Miocene, practically the same date of emergence that I have given. On the Osborne scale of reckoning, he and I gave the human stem an antiquity of about 20 million years.
So they're saying that the human experience is way older than what we think. Watch this. Come on.
Sir Elliot Smith shows the true human family as separating from the common stem at about the middle of the Miocene.
And you see the separation from man and ape. You can see the separation. Okay.
Our figure 4 illustrates these various points and gives the scientific presentation of the problem. It may be noted that many scientific authorities agree that the separation from the common stem and the appearance of true man took place during what is now called the Miocene period and about 20 million years ago.
You heard that. You heard that. Next one.
Figure 5, which is taken from the Secret Doctrine, gives the pedigree of the apes according to the occult teaching. 3 things may be noted in this figure.
You can see it.
First,
Go ahead.
First, the mammalian prototypes, the lower mammals and lower apes, are all shown as separate from evolving humanity and are therefore
as separate from evolving humanity. So they separate, and you can show there, and I'll bring it up close so they can see it. And I'll bring the book right back.
Okay.
So let me bring this over so everybody can see. So as you can see, humanity and man is separated from man's family tree, as y'all can clearly see. Okay? And then you see here the pedigree of the apes, which is taken from the Secret Doctrine, which gives the pedigree of the apes according to the occult teachings. 3 things must be noted. And this is what Sister Molly is about to read. Alright? We're about to get in this. You're going to see. You're going to see that the apes is a product of devolution, not evolution. Come on. The first is what, sis?
the first, the mammalian prototypes, the lower mammals and lower apes, are all shown as separate from evolving humanity and are therefore separated from the main evolutionary urge. So, although they continue their existence in time as the various species of apes or animals, they make comparatively little further progress in change of form.
Come on.
Second, there is no connecting line between the circles representing the races until after the separation of the sexes. This may indicate that while the lines show biological continuity in the animal kingdom and between the 5th race and its predecessors, there is no such continuity in the earlier races. This would naturally be expected if the human consciousness inhabited etheric forms. There would be continuity of consciousness, but not biological continuity of bodies. Third, the special relation between the anthropoids and man is indicated by the line at the bottom of the diagram, connecting the lower apes on the one hand with the 4th root race on the other. Of these anthropoids, Madame Blavatsky writes, the pethicoids, the orange antog, the gorilla, and the chimpanzee can, and as the occult science teach, do descend from the animalized 4th human root race, being the product of man and an extinct species of mammal.
Stop! Come on, man. Did we just read this, y'all?
Okay, we did.
Did we just read this, sis? What
Read
you
it.
get out of it, sis? Tell the people.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
But do you understand how the hominoid or our species were mixing with different species?
Yeah.
That's not even from our humanist gene at all, and we born this here. Come on, read.
Okay. Oh, Yaya's up.
Let me see.
I think he's Yaya.
You got it? Okay. You got it. All right.
Okay. So, as the occult science teach, do descend from the animalized 4th human root race, being produced of man and an extinct species of mammal, whose remote ancestors were themselves the product of Lemurian bestiality.
Come on.
Let us remember in this connection the esoteric teaching, which says that man in the 3rd round was possessed of a gigantic
Ape-like form
on the astral plane.
Okay. Absolutely.
And similarly, at the close of the 3rd race in this round, thus it accounts for the human features of the apes, especially of the later anthropoids, apart from the fact that these later preserve by heredity a resemblance to their Lemurian series.
Come on.
In order to compare the diagram given in the occult teaching with modern science, we have, in accordance with usual scientific practice, inverted it so that the latest times comes at the top. If this is done, we are able to see at once the suggestion of a tree, figure 6. This resemblance of the tree given by science becomes clearer if we make certain modifications without altering the essentials. In figure 6, as it stands, the anthropoids would appear to be the crown of the evolutionary process. Hence, we have ventured to substitute figure 7, in which the anthropoids are shown more correctly as a side branch from the main stem of evolution. As the statements made by Madame Blavatsky imply that the association between animal and man, which produced the anthropoids, occurred twice. Once in Lemurian and again in Atlantean times.
Stop. And what did we read? The Lemurians dealt with the sin of the mindless. Remember, they was instinctively just having sex with these she creatures. Right? Remember? These species. And the Atlanteans, they knew better. And they start doing it. And they produced the anthropoid while they produced the other ones. The pithecoids. See that? Quote-unquote apes. Read.
We have also indicated this double connection in figure 8. Since certain dates are given in the secret doctrine and in man, whence, how, and whither, as for example that already quoted for the appearance of the first true man, we are able to place this diagram approximately in time using the name at present assigned by geologists to those periods of time. This is done in figure 8. Figure 8 shows the diagram from the secret doctrine drawn on the pattern usually adopted by science and placed in time. Examination will show that no essential alterations have been made. The diagram shows the branching off of the animal kingdom from the true human stem taking place about 18 million years ago.
But is that, I thought I was just making these numbers up. I thought these joints. Didn't I say man developed, the separation of the sexes took between 18 to 18.5 million years ago?
Okay.
Right? Are they not saying what I'm saying?
Yes, they are.
They're not saying nothing different from me. They're disagreeing with evolution. They're disagreeing with it the way they saying it. Like the what you see today is a devolution, not evolution. Read.
In what is now called the Miocene period, the truly human form being finally produced after separation of the sexes.
I said that. I just said that. Right, Genesis 2:7.
And the human consciousness entering this form. This occurred during the Lemurian race. The fourth race arose after this change was completed. Man gave the forms for the mammals up to the lower apes, which forms were then inhibited by animal consciousness. He then built a better body for himself, but this body was itself derived from those bodies.
Stop! Then man was created on the quote-unquote so-called sixth day, right?
Okay.
Didn't I already say that the elements previous days he used to solidify his body, right?
Okay.
And then what was left, he left the residue.
Okay.
Correct? And they say he got it from animals. Oh, okay, read that part one more time.
He then built a better body for himself, but this body was itself derived from those bodies. It is true to say, as science does, that apes and man have a common physical ancestry. In figure 9, we give the scientific and occult presentations side by side, drawn on the same scale to facilitate comparison. Without suggesting that all the details are exact, we cannot but admit the similarity between the two statements. Summarizing, we find that in the Miocene period, that period of the second great world summer, we have the formation of the continent of Lemuria stretching round the equatorial belt of the earth and across the Pacific. Scientists note a plentiful and varied animal kingdom with increasing brain capacity. These include mastodon, horses, deer, tigers, and apes, but not men. The profusion of large animals was due to the repetition of the conditions of the third round. In the Miocene, most notably, the mammals repeated all the experiment of the reptiles on a higher turn of the spiral. The division of the sexes may have taken place first in the animal forms. Though human consciousness was present, yet it must be realized that it still used somewhat ape-like forms, scientists being thus quite justified in assuming that only apes existed up to this time. The occult records point out that the important process of the division of the sexes took place during this Miocene period. In answer to the problem of what used to be known as the missing link, we see that the difference between the older and the more modern theory is this. On the older theory, the anthropoids represented a definite stage of descent between the apes and man, and on the later theory, there is a common mammalian ancestor so far as form and concerned, but man diverged from the apes at an early date, probably about 20 million years ago. The date of the formation of the first true man is given in the secret doctrine as 18 million BC.
Boom. So y'all see that? Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So that's how that go right there. So like I said, that's what they say. That's what they said. They said modern humans once mated with other species. Genetic studies reveal some modern humans carry DNA from extinct hominoid species, evidence of ancient inbreeding. I didn't say that. Now go to that. Yeah, and right here. Yeah, go to that. Yup. Let me put it up here so they can see that. Yup. And you can see the human stem separated from the ape stem. You see that, right? You see that. Boom.
Yeah.
And one is the what?
Because one side is the science and then the other side is the us.
Modern. Mm-hmm. Yeah, modern man.
You see that? Come on. That's what they say. Look, y'all. Different races from separate species. Mm-hmm. DNA now indicates that humanity is a hybrid species with different hominoid ancestry, not one single race. Come on. I ain't say it. Huh? What's up with all this? Right? What's up with this? What's up with this? Huh? Humanity has a filthy secret. Ancient humans had sex with mysterious species, scientists discovered. Huh? What's up with all this monkey play?
Goes no more.
What's up with all this monkey play? Huh? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What's up with this? What is this? So what are we talking about here? Huh? So we not making this stuff up. This stuff is straight cold facts. I give all praise and honor to Yahuwah, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness' sake, all over the planet Earth. I say to the family, Shabbat Shalom, Hebrew Israelite Sovereign Nationalism rising all over the planet Earth. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be amongst the children of Israel all over the planet Earth. I'm out. Part 1 was done. Are you going to be my reader next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Good.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
We out. Let me see who's knocking before we out.